You're listening to the Electronic Media Collective Podcast Network. Yeah, it's a mouthful. For more great shows like the one you're about to enjoy, visit electronicmediacollective.com. And now, our feature presentation.
Hi, this is Del Morgado.
Hi, this is Tim Rose, who played Admiral Akbar in Return of the Jedi.
This is Kim Possible. Mandy Cowell here.
Hey everyone, it's Tammy Stronach from The Neverending Story.
This is Jeremy Taggart from the Taggart and Torrance podcast.
Hey, this is Loki Corn Cosplay.
Hey, I'm DJ Jenny Rock from Neil and Johnny Drink in the Park.
And I'm Neil Young from Neil and Johnny Drink in the Park. Johnny's best friend.
You're not my best friend.
You're my best friend.
Not.
Hello, this is Dr. Steve-O.
Hello, this is Andrew Chalmers, the writer and doctor in Doctor Who Dark Journey.
Hey, what's cracking, y'all? It's your boy J-Rock. You know, I'm Sierra Era Igra. You're listening to Droids Canada podcast.
Enjoy your chimichanga.
Warning. Listener discretion is advised.
That means there's a lot of fucking swearing.
Hello.
All right, here we got Dan from droidscanada.com. I'm here at Action Windsor, and I'm walking around and I see BloodBath and Beyond. Now, with a name like that, I have to know, what are you doing with BloodBath and Beyond?
So we are a horror movie review channel on YouTube. We review horror movies from indie films all the way to like the Hollywood blockbusters. We do unboxings, we do reactions, interviews. We just talk everything horror because we love horror.
The horror genre. Now, is it a YouTube show that it is that you have?
Yes. Yeah, so we release a couple of...
Panel discussions coming up at 1:30 featuring Adventure World Press and Source Point Press.
The announcement.
That's at 1:30.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, our show is basically... Well, it's just like reviews and stuff, so... We'll have usually about an 8-minute episode, and it's just reviewing specific horror movies. It's not necessarily like a talk show. It's not long form or anything like that, but we consider it a show because people tune in regularly. It's consistent. It's Tuesdays and Saturdays, you know?
Yeah, the consistency is the key with us with our podcast. It's every Monday we have an episode out. Every Wednesday we have our wrestling podcast out. Every Friday we have some sort of a video out. You know, and it's that consistency that for us has been pushing the viewers. Now with YouTube, how do you push the viewership with YouTube?
So consistency is pretty much the main thing. You want to make sure that your audience is aware that you will always drop a video on a specific day. If you miss that day, it throws everything off. And you pretty much lose a lot of your viewership base because you didn't upload. So once you figure out what day or days you want to upload, you have to be consistent with that because YouTube has what's called the notification bell, where if you subscribe to a channel, you click the little bell and you get notified when they upload a video. But not many people do that, and not many people are aware of that. So to really see a video, it's based off of whether it pops up in the recommendation list or whether you're subscribed to the channel and you're aware when you upload the video.
Yeah, I think to push your content is make sure your content is accessible. Make sure it's something that people enjoy watching. Make sure you have tentpole videos that would bring in a new audience. Well, even if that's not the main thing that your channel's about. So we do reaction videos to popular trailers. Our channel is more about indie horror, but that's what's going to bring in the new people doing top 10 lists, top Freddy kills. You know, that's what's going to drive. It's going to find a new audience of people who just want to see kill videos, and now they're in here watching our reviews next week.
We've done the exact same thing with our show. We'll do top 10 Arnold films, top 10 Jean-Claude Van Damme moments, so many different types of things that we do. Now, when it comes to reviewing, do you kind of more enjoy the more mainstream horror films, or do you kind of have a little soft spot for the indie films?
You know, it does vary at times. I love the hidden indie classics, but sometimes you'll get a remake, like Evil Dead. A lot of people throw hate on it, but that was a Hollywood release, and I loved it. I thought the Evil Dead remake was a great film, so it really varies on how they deliver it. So I'll watch everything, and you'll get something like Pool Party Massacre, which is an indie film that is amazing, and then you'll get something like Evil Dead remake, or
yeah, it completely differs. I mean, we've watched movies that had a $50 budget that we thought were way better than a $50 budget would definitely deliver. But then we've also reviewed things that have multi-million dollar, like look at Get Out, like highest grossing horror movie. It's just like, that's crazy. And we'll review that almost the exact same way that we'll review a $1,000 movie that's a student film, you know? It's making sure it's all about the content, the writing, the characters. You look at everything completely objectively, as much as you can anyway, based on like the actual content that they have and not necessarily the production value. So I personally like indie movies, and I think John also loves the indie movies.
Yeah, like the indie movies will always have a soft spot, but you're not going to discourage someone who goes out there and puts out like a big Hollywood style of film, because some of them can be good too.
Now, with the recording, with the cutting, with the editing, does this end up becoming a full-time job for you?
Yeah, basically, yes. So it depends. Back in the day, it was way more difficult because we weren't coming into our own. So it would take, maybe we'd shoot for an hour and a half for a 7-minute episode. It's like, whoa, that's a lot of extra shit that we don't need. Now it's kind of like we're more concise with our thoughts. We kind of know how and when we need to restart our sentence because we know how I edit. And so even John knows, like, if he fucks up something, if he says something incorrectly, he'll restart his sentence because he knows where I'm going to cut, where I'm going to cover it with B-roll, and it's a non-issue. And so now our time went from an hour and a half down to 20 minutes for a 7-minute episode. And sometimes it can be faster than that.
Yeah, I think like our fastest review was like 12 minutes. Like we knocked it out and we nailed, because our format's pretty much the same. We're going to talk about what we like, we're going to talk about what we don't like, and then give our final thoughts and ratings. And when we do this, it's all unscripted. So we'll watch the movie, and then 2 minutes later, we're in the studio recording the episode, not talking to each other. And like the hardest part is when you actually go to the theater, and we'll go watch a movie that drops on a Friday.
Right.
Horror and science fiction.
Okay. Yeah. It's like, if we go to a theater on Friday, it's like the episode's probably going to be out on Saturday. The hardest part is the half-hour home from the theater, not talking, because we want to be as authentic as we possibly can.
We have lost so much material on our drives. Our drive to see something, our drive to go to a convention. Like we've started saying we have to record everything we do when we drive because it's literally gold. And then as soon as we get behind the mic, it's like, oh man, we've already said this. We don't get the same reactions and all that.
Yeah,
that's why we don't talk about it.
We will not talk at all. And like the only time we ever know what the other one is thinking is if a movie is really, really bad to the point that when we're watching it, one of us falls asleep, or we're just like look at each other and we're just talking
what
like,
the hell is
like
going
what
on
are we
here?
doing here? Like why are we watching this? That's the only time you know both of us dislike the movie. But every movie we watch, we don't know. I don't know if Jay likes the film or dislikes the film.
Until the camera's on, that's when we actually talk about it. Because we also don't want to be swayed by each other's opinions. He likes movies that I don't like, and that's fine. But it's way better to know, like, I don't want to say that I love something that he hated, and then maybe he potentially likes it a little bit more just so that we're more in sync, and vice versa. But there are definitely movies that we find out at the table when we're shooting that it's just we have completely different opinions, and I'm glad it wasn't swayed on that ride home.
Yeah, when we give our final rating items, like what we do is we put our hands behind our back and our scales out of 5, and we'll go 1, 2, 3, and we'll put our hands on the table and we'll show how many fingers, and that's what our rating is.
It's so primitive.
Almost like a rock, paper, scissors thing, but you know what? It works.
Yeah.
It totally works. Now what you guys need to do sometime is have the unspoken video when you're coming back from a film, because you got to be grinning. You got to be grinning, not saying things. And just a quick little video of just the grins.
Yeah.
Right.
What does this facial expression mean?
Yeah, did that face mean that I hated this so much that I don't even know what the hell the filmmakers were doing? Or am I just so giddy with excitement I can't wait to talk about it?
I live my life with all of those looks. That's what I do for a living, is just look.
That's the
expressions.
That's the Instagram story. That's what it should be.
Yep. That's what it comes down to. A lot of times too, we do take pictures of the films that we're going to review on Instagram, so people are aware, like, hey, we just watched this today, a review's coming out for it.
So And because we do reviews, it's kind of like we almost review them in such a way that most of the people have already seen the movies. They're not coming to us because they want
no spoiler reviews type thing.
We don't give spoilers, but our reviews make more sense if you've seen the film in most cases. So if we say like there is a character that gets killed in this way, and we loved that, you're going to know exactly what we're talking about. Yeah. But it also is non-intrusive to those who haven't seen the film.
And we try not to spoil anything. I mean, there are films, like we have a side segment that's called Retrospective, where we look at 80s slashers and like 80s horror films. We're going to spoil it because people should have seen it.
If you haven't seen it by now, you're out of luck.
Yeah, I get when Game of Thrones airs, like season 8, episode 1, don't talk about it the next day in the workplace, please, thanks. Yeah. But if it's been out for 40 years, just give me a fucking break. I'm going to review it.
See, Game of Thrones is what got me into this entire whole genre of everything.
Really?
I joined Droids Canada as their Game of Thrones guy.
That's sweet.
So yeah, I actually even got a sit down with somebody from HBO who gave me a little bit about what was going on a couple of seasons back, with my solemn swear to not say anything whatsoever.
Awesome.
But it did give me a little bit of leeway in the Game of Thrones Deadpool that we had. Now, with reviewing films, do you ever get any hate from filmmakers from something that you may have not really liked as much as they do?
Yes.
I think so.
We have gotten one director who was very, very upset with a film that we reviewed of his, that in the comments he made it very vocal.
Oh yeah.
And like, this was not when we're not negative in the sense that we're saying your film is absolutely garbage. We're saying like, hey, your shots were out of focus. We couldn't see what was going on. Your lighting was really bad. It was dark.
You need to figure it out.
You need to figure it out. So like, we're constructive criticism, and some directors take that to heart. One guy actually just kept reaming us out in the comments, and we're just like, we're just trying to help you out here. So like, don't hate.
That is, being reamed out like that sometimes is a great thing, though.
You would think. Yeah, I agree. I think what's weird is when like most, and that's just like one example because not a lot of people do hate when we hate on their films. Yeah. They're just like, thank you for the advice. Even though we're not filmmakers ourselves, so they probably take it with a grain of salt, to be honest. But it was that specific guy, like, responded to every comment. Yeah. Like, trying to sell his movie back to the person who said, oh yeah, this movie looks like trash based on the clips that you've shown in your review. I'm not going to watch this. And, well, we never really say, hey, don't watch this movie. That's just our opinion. Go and watch the movie. There's always a link in the description to buy the movie. Go watch it yourself because we don't know what your tastes are.
Yeah, like generally when we give our final thoughts, we're like, we wouldn't really recommend this, but if you want to check it out, go check it out. And there are times like where directors do take our criticism and actually apply it. There was this Irish vampire slayer film that was like 2.5 hours. We did the review. We're like, man, you could cut out 45 minutes or an hour of this movie. Sure enough, he did. And he messaged us. It's like, hey, what scenes should I take out? What didn't work? I want to recut it and then redistribute it as like a better version.
Which is awesome. That's exactly that's what we're trying to do. Well, like, I don't think necessarily people need to change their film once it's created, but it was in the festival circuit. We had an early screener, and he actually took our advice, and I think it was more successful because of our advice.
Yeah, as a fan, if somebody creates something, they may think this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. Right. But then when you hear the actual reviews from fans, then it seems like what you're doing is you're fans first.
Exactly.
And then you are creating this afterwards.
Exactly. And so when it comes to filmmaking and even anything in life, a lot of your inner circle are going to be yes men, and they're going to say, hey, I really like what you're doing, and you're doing it great. And very few people are willing to tell their friend that they're not really going the right direction with certain things. And so hearing that outside voice kind of just say, hey man, like, I get where you're going, looks great, everything's rolling pretty decently, but I don't think the general audience may enjoy these certain aspects.
Mm-hmm. See, we had an incident we call the Stephen Amell incident, where one of these a movie came out, and I think a comment that was made was the best thing about this is the trailer, which got a response from Stephen Amell himself, which created a day-long barrage of hate mail from Stephen Amell fans. we got more traction off of that negative, and then the listeners and the subscribers came, and we're like, oh my God, with this something that's so negative, oh my God, we're getting all this attention from it. Yep. So it's absolutely amazing. So then we actually got to last year in Toronto meet Stephen Amell and do the apology. The one who made the comment made the apology, and the apology was accepted, and they hugged it out. And he even signed the hate mail that we got. We screenshotted it, and he signed it, and we got photos of that. So yeah, sometimes even blasting some of the hate. Sometimes people like that kind of thing.
It can work.
Then I got one last thing for both of you now. All time, I know this is the hardest thing, and this is probably the most asked question you'll have. All time greatest horror film.
I think it's easily John Carpenter's Halloween.
I would second that. It's not the film that started it all in most people's eyes, because if you go back a few years, you go for Black Christmas. But the way that it's shot, the score, just the serial killer in itself, like the presence of like Michael,
the shape himself.
The shape is
terrifying.
So
even watching it like 30 times, like in the last like couple of years, probably, it's just like I love it every single time.
Yeah, it's just there's so much good in it that you can't really say like there's like it's got to be the top film.
Oh, excellent! I'd like to thank you for your time here, and where can people find, like, what's the best, easiest way for people to find BloodBath and Beyond?
You can find us on YouTube. Just search basically any horror movie review,
or BloodBath and Beyond. Just type it in, and we come right up.
Yeah, check it out. These guys seem very entertaining. Anyone who's enjoying the horror genre, definitely have a look at BloodBath and Beyond. I'd like to thank you guys for your time. Have a good rest of your day.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.